This time around, I go back to 1955. Actually, 1985, but 1955 with Robert Zemeckis, Back to the Future. But wait, before you go anywhere, because I know you're about to turn me off, leave a comment. Tell me why you don't like listening to my voice. Why you do not like looking at me. You're actually not even going to look at me. I'm going to play a video game while I do this. Okay? So, just let me know. Why are you leaving? On the 27th weekend of 1985, the Western mysterious preacher was bucked off the number one spot at the box office. Knocking off Pale Rider, starring Clint Eastwood, of that highly coveted spot was the time-traveling pulp culture hit starring Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, and Leah Thompson's Back to the Future. We open on a panning of Doc Brown's lab. His television turns on just in time for us to hear about how some plutonium has gone missing. Our hero of the hour, and 56 minutes, Marty McFly uses the hidden key to enter Doc's lab. Marty receives a call from Doc asking him to meet him at Twin Pines Mall at 1 in the morning. With the sound of 100 bells, whistles, and cuckoos going off all at once, Marty realizes he is late for school. He grabs his skateboard, which happens to be resting against a yellow box labeled plutonium under the Doc's bed. Where did that come from? At school, Marty and his band, the Pinheads, are auditioning for Battle of the Bands. They crank it up and rock out the Huey Lewis and the News song, The Power of Love. Before Marty can even start singing, though, one of the judges shuts them down and tells the boys,
I'm afraid you're just too darn loud.
Really? Too loud? This judge either doesn't like Huey Lewis and the News or doesn't understand rock and roll. Sitting on the park bench in the Hill Valley Town Square, Marty laments with his girlfriend, Jennifer Parker, on missing out on the Battle of the Bands. A nosy citizen interrupts the two lovebirds trying to get them to donate and
save the clock tower.
Yes, she is trying to raise money to
save the clock tower.
But, I really think she is probably just some old hag who hates PEA. I mean, really, asking teens in 1985 to donate to help fix some local landmark? Like, they really care. That's probably why they only gave 25 cents. This citizen, who has an aversion to the public display of affection, informs us that in 1955, during a storm, lightning struck the clock tower, and the clock has read the same time for the last 30 years. At Marty's house, over dinner, we meet the McFly family. George, Marty's dad, a full-grown doormat. Lorraine, a traditional mom. The boy pursues girls, girls don't pursue boys. That type of mom. Dave, Marty's older brother, who works at Burger King and takes the bus. He's got a lot going on in his life. Linda, the middle child, who's still trying to find her place in the world and just kind of looking for love. George's supervisor, Biff Tannen, is at the house after borrowing and wrecking George's vehicle. Biff is accusing George of loaning him a faulty vehicle and asking where is his business reports at. I mean, he's like a high school bully. Biff is getting George to do his work for him. At 1 o'clock in the morning at the mall, Doc Brown rolls up in a DeLorean, a modified DeLorean that travels through time at the speed of 88 miles per hour by the power of plutonium. Where did that come from? And
This flux capacitor.
after sending Einstein 1 minute into the future, Einstein's the name of his dog, not the genius, Doc gets ready to go 25 years into the future himself. But before he can, though, the Libyan terrorist whom he stole the plutonium from catches up with him. Doc is shot and Marty flees in the time-traveling DeLorean. To escape the Libyan terrorist, Marty speeds up to 90 miles per hour.
Let's see if you bastards can do 90.
Which comes after 88. Yep, Marty travels back in time. Back to November 5th, 1955. In 1995 Hill Valley, Marty stumbles his way through town to Lou's Diner. In this small town diner, Marty sits down at the counter beside a young skinny stick kid with greased back hair. A large gruff kid with 3 tag-along goons comes in and commands McFly's attention. Not Marty McFly's, though. See, the skinny kid next to him is his father, George McFly, and the large gruff teen is Biff. Awkward. Awkward would be an understatement for Marty at this time. He's sitting there watching and realizing that his father has been spineless and walked over by the same butt stain, or butthead, for 30 years. Biff is a high school bully who makes George do his homework. In his shock and confusion, Marty does not notice George leave the diner. Marty chases after his father and saves him from getting hit by a car that is driven by Sam Baines, dad to Lorraine, and Marty's grandfather. He saves George, but in turn, Marty is hit and knocked out by Sam's car. Marty protecting his father has put Marty's life in jeopardy. See, George needs to be hit by Sam, because after bouncing off Sam's bumper, he is taken to Sam's house to recover. That is how George and Lorraine meet. But now it is Marty who is being nursed back to health by Lorraine and her family. In his grandparents' guest bed, Marty comes to and finds a young, very thin Lorraine looking over him. She is clearly smitten. It gets weirder fast though, when Lorraine starts flirting with him. Yes, her own future son. Marty is horrified by all of this, but tries to play it cool, desperate to escape this Oedipal nightmare. Later, Marty tracks down the younger version of Doc Brown and tries to convince him that he's from the future. Doc is understandably skeptical at first, but when Marty mentions the flux capacitor,
And that's when he came up with the idea for the flux capacitor, which is what makes time travel possible.
the 1955 Doc becomes a believer. Finally convinced, Doc explains that the only way to power the flux capacitor with the necessary 1.21 gigawatts
1.21 gigawatts.
is with a bolt of lightning. Well, isn't this just convenient? Marty just happens to have the flyer from the
Save the clock tower!
lady that tells them exactly when and where a lightning bolt is going to strike. The Hill Valley Clock Tower at precisely 10:04 p.m. on November 12th, 1955. One big problem though. Marty's mom has the hots for him instead of George, and Marty's family is in danger of being erased from existence. He even sees it happening in real time as a photograph of his siblings begins to fade. Marty has to get his parents to fall in love and kiss at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, or risk poof. Marty and Doc work together to assemble a plan that will get Mom to fall in love with Dad and for Marty to get back to the future. At the school dance, Marty plans to get Daddy to save Mommy Dearest from Marty getting fresh with her. Gross. Talk about desperate times takes desperate measures. George is to come to Marty's car, open the driver's door, and tell him to.
Hey you, get your damn hands off her.
And Doc is going to rig up an extremely long jumper cable from the clock tower to a power line that crosses the street. Marty is to drive the DeLorean, reach 88 miles per hour at the power line, the exact time that Mother Nature kills Hill Valley Clock Tower. So what happens next? Well, you have to go watch the movie and find out, because I am not going to do your homework for you. If you have seen Back to the Future, do you think it still stands up after all these years, or is it just a nostalgic pop icon of its times? For myself, I think it holds up still. The story is solid, the casting is spot on for the characters and the comedic theme. There are so many reasons that Back to the Future is so nostalgic, from the music, the sets, the characters, and so much more. I give Back to the Future 4 1/4 DeLoreans.